America is at a position that others have been throughout the last, thank God, maybe 2,300 years. We've got 2,500 troops, more or less. I believe there are more, but that's not the important part. And the decision is, do we pull them all out and then walk away? Uh, I've never been in favor of us going in and staying for 20 years, but now that we've done it, we're going to have to come up with a concept that's associated with this final withdrawal. Don't forget that the president, former Vice President Biden in 2010 declared, come hell or high water, we're going to be out of Afghanistan by 2014. Well, here we are, 6 years beyond that. I think now we're at a critical point. The Biden administration isn't just facing a decision of how to pull out the last 2,500 troops, but it's at a point to where it has to say to itself, is this who we are? Does America have, let's call it a moral obligation for some aftercare? And we've never been very good at aftercare in our wars since 1945. But there are openings, there are possibilities to do things that are different and that would be both correct morally and correct from a basic political point of view. And we can discuss those as we move through this. I don't think anybody understands or were moved by the prospect that every superpower at any era that went into Afghanistan ended up in disaster, one form or another. And that's Alexander the Great, it's Genghis Khan and the Mughal rulers, it's the British in their attempts to tame that land. Then the Soviets decided that when America was weakened by coming out of Southeast Asia with its tail between its legs, and had a president that they thought wasn't as strong as he might have been, decided on a snowy Christmas Eve in 1979 to go in and take care of a fundamentalist problem that was causing their guy in Kabul some problems and possibly spilling over into the border of the Soviet partner states in above the Oxus. I think that history will say that the Russians lost their empire from the moment they decided to go in and tidy things up in Afghanistan in 1979. Now here we are. You know, did we pay any attention to any of that? I don't think so. I think every superpower of an era believes that it can handle the Afghans. And that happens to be absolutely true, except in the long term, unless you're willing to have a massive amount of troops there to subdue them, you'll never really accomplish what you went in to do. So we didn't pay any attention to history. We just went in. Had we just gone in, knocked the Taliban off, dispersed them, not made any mistakes at Tora Bora and gotten Osama bin Laden, and then turned around, waved our finger at them a little bit and said, this is what we do when you make us angry, and leave. That's what the story would have been. We didn't do it. 20 years later, here we are. If you take a look at the history of superpower intervention in Afghanistan over the last 2,300 years and look for legacies of those interventions, you're pretty hard pressed to find much that counts. And the American legacy, I don't know. It's going to be hard to say, and it will depend in a great deal on whether we do any aftercare or whether we just leave, whether we try to do something. Don't forget that this current involvement is in effect, our second involvement. We went in and partnered up with the Afghan resistance to the Soviet occupation, and we helped support and arm, up to 250,000 full or part-time mujahideen, soldiers of God, that fought the Soviets until the Soviets gave up and left. We could have had an aftercare program then, but we didn't. At that moment, it was the H.W. Bush administration, and we turned our backs on Afghanistan. And to its credit, to the administration's credit, they were involved in this absolutely stunning denouement of the Cold War, the Soviet Union collapsing, the Warsaw Pact slipping beneath the waves. All of that was going on, so they were very well occupied with that. But we didn't look back at Afghanistan. So we're at the point now, 2,500 troops in Afghanistan, and what do we do? Biden has a choice. And is there going to be an aftercare of any kind? And I'm not sure that they've thought it through yet. I think the only thing that might make sense in terms of an aftercare program for Afghanistan, something that would not be just trying to throw dollars at it, something that would help it move towards, let's call it middle-class nationhood, some decades down the road, would be a thoughtful, comprehensive, properly international effort involving both the Afghan government and the Taliban on the exploitation of Afghanistan's mineral resources. The reality about them is, for the most part, the people standing on top of those points on the earth where the riches lie are Taliban. So of course they're going to be part of the solution. So that's about the only aftercare thing I think would make sense.